Today we're going to go over how to repair a Kupferle 88SS sampling station from a failure of a cut or a leaking seat rubber. The most common way to tell that you've got a cut or a leaking seat rubber is that it'll simply drip out the nozzle. If your petcock is open in the winter months, you might get it dripping out the petcock valve instead. Both a bevel washer for older style or newer style sampling stations and a flat washer for anything up to 2021. It comes with a shorter screw and a longer screw followed by a little bit of Loctite. In order to do the screw, you'll need a 1/4 inch wrench. We also have a replacement petcock stem that uses a 7/16 wrench, as well as 2 1/2-inch wrenches that'll allow us to pivot the box off of the box in order to do the repair work. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to open up the station so that we know that there's flow, and then we're going to go over to the shutoff and actually shut off the flow of water to the actual station itself. Next step, all you should have to do is loosen one of your one particular side. This is, I'm using the 1/2-inch wrenches here. You don't have to take that one all the way off. You take off the other side completely. I got my finger underneath the nut and the washer so that they don't fall into the base of the unit. So I just took off one side. The newer models of these units will actually have slots in there, so it's even a little bit easier. But then I'm just going to pivot this base just a little bit in order to allow me to get my stem out. Take my channel locks or my crescent wrench. I just place it on the top nut and just unthread this. And then at some point you're able to just use the knob to unthread it the rest of the way. And then you remove your operating rod. As you can see, this unit in particular had the seat rubber completely cut in half and removed. So next we're going to blow off the line. When we do this, we want to make sure that both the petcock and the top have been fully removed to flush any debris out of the hydrant itself. As you can see, when that increase of the flow came up, this is the old seat washer that was damaged and on the inside of it. When the increase came, we were able to see that this was obviously pinched down in there, somehow clogging the flow. When you're working on these hydrants, a good way to identify the age is simply pulling out the instructions. Any newer models will have a serial number written on the sampling instructions themselves. This particular unit doesn't, so I know for sure that it is prior to 2021. So we're going to put the flat bevel or the flat washer in place of the bevel washer. Utilizing the 1/4 inch wrench, I'm able to take the previous screw out. And then because we know the age now, we're going to use the flat washer and the shorter screw and a little bit of Loctite that comes with the repair kit. So I'll place a little bit of the Loctite internal to the threads, as well as a drip on the screw. The idea here is you don't want the seat washer spinning when it's inside the hydrant. I take my beveled seat washer, slide it through, or my flat washer, I apologize, slide it through, and then I'm just going to take the same 1/4 inch wrench. I'm setting my finger on there. Some people will use a socket set rather than a regular wrench, but I try and make sure that my seat is kind of centered. And tighten my gasket. One nice feature of the repair kit is they actually send the blue Loctite with the unit. It does come with a cap, the opposite side once you crack it open, so you can use this Loctite elsewhere between multiple sites or elsewhere as you need, and keep the other Loctite for other future uses. To reassemble the unit now, we just take the operating rod, slide it down into the sampling station. I've got both valves open. Obviously the top one's open, but the petcock is also open. I want to make sure that my handle is in the upright position, so I'm holding the crescent or the connecting nut and then spinning the handle up. I want to check to make sure that my O-ring is still intact on the connecting nut, and then I just hand thread it on. And after I finish hand threading it, I'm going to grab my crescent wrench or my channel locks and just give it a little bit of a snug to tighten my O-ring. And you've just successfully replaced the Kupferle seat rubber. One thing to note, when you're shutting off the station, you really want to make sure not to over crank it. So I'm just going to, as I turn the handle, when I see the water completely shut off, I know that the unit's finished. So I make sure that it's not coming out my nozzle. Now I'm going to make sure that the petcock completely shuts off. There's no need to give it excess turns, because it's a seat washer. It's sealing flat, so you want to make sure that everything's good. Maybe give it a little tiny more, maybe an eighth, nothing excessive. And you'll see that everything is completely shut off. At this point, you'll use the evacuation line on your petcock, remove the water on the sanitary evacuation line, and replace your nozzle caps. Have a nice day. So right now we're going to replace the petcock stem. The most common failure point on this particular item is that the O-ring will either slice or sometimes blow off on older models. One way to tell between newer and older models is whether it looks like the tip of the petcock is actually smaller than the rest of the petcock body. All I'm going to do here is I take my 7/16 wrench to the top of the petcock after it's fully open, and then I unthread it. At this point, it just continues to thread back out the valve until it comes out. At that point, the next thing to do is you actually replace your petcock stem. Take your petcock, slide it back in, start to hand thread it. Take my 7/16 wrench on the packing nut, and I'm just going to tighten this packing nut down until I feel that it compresses all the way. I can feel the O-ring compress, and I'm good to go. Just repairing the station. Don't forget to put your secondary, your bolt back on. It holds the unit, the box in place on it. Again, this is with the 2 1/2 inch wrenches.